We have 3 days of severe risks here per the Storm Prediction Center. Let's go ahead and dive into this as best as possible. Now, we'll highlight this video by saying that there is a lot of uncertainty here in terms of timing and exact hazards, but we are getting some areas here of perhaps some higher concern. Starting with Sunday, we also have risks on Monday and then Tuesday as well. But starting with Sunday, we do have a level 1 out of a scale of 5. So a low end risk here for severe weather in south central and southeast Michigan, roughly from Flint to Port Huron to Detroit, over toward that Lansing, Charlotte area, and then point southward to the Ohio border. Dark green there is the color you're looking for. That's going to be your level 1 severe risk. Lighter green colors do surround the entire state of Michigan, meaning that general thunderstorms are possible across the entire state, but severe weather should be tied to that southeast corner where you see that dark green area. The hazards for Sunday, according to the SPC, are damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and large hail up to quarter size in diameter. Those are going to be your two risks. Not currently seeing anything tornadic at this time, so no worry there at this point. If that changes, we'll let you know ASAP. However, I do think it's going to be more so a damaging wind risk. And then a lot of it's going to be tied to storm coverage, as models this morning don't really show too much in the way of storms developing. But if they were to develop, the environment in the area would be supportive of that severe weather. So keep in mind, Sunday, there is a low risk for that, all dependent on how storms, if storms can form and stay developed and so quote unquote stay covered in the area. We need to have that storm coverage to get the severe risk to happen in the first place. So moving on to Monday, we do have a secondary day here of severe weather, a marginal risk yet again. We do have a slight risk that bumps just barely up there toward Ironwood in the western half of the UP. That's going to be level 2 risk. But overall, the entire part of the UP, northern, lower, and most of eastern lower Michigan finds themselves again within that marginal risk, which is level 1 out of a scale of 5. So again, low end risk. And same thing applies to this day, where models don't really show too much happening until later on in the evening. But if storms can fire throughout the afternoon on perhaps lake breeze boundaries close to the lakes, we could see some severe weather yet again, damaging winds and large hail being your primary concerns, dependent on storm coverage. Day 4, which would be Tuesday, we do have a slight risk, pretty rare here. Well, I guess I can't really say rare, but a more so rare event. We have a 15% contour of severe weather here for the entire lower peninsula, as well as southern portions of the UP toward Escanaba, Menominee, Iron Mountain areas. So a pretty large area here within that 15% contoured for severe weather come Tuesday. Now, I think details exactly as far as timing and exact hazards go are going to be, we're going to defer it exactly to later on, probably closer to that Monday afternoon time frame here for exact details. But I will say a few things about Tuesday. Number one, your instability on the models here, especially the European model, is quite large. We're having 2 to 3,000 joules of surface-based CAPE, which is going to be your storm fuel. We're looking at a very juiced environment if that's the case. The GFS, the other model we use, a global forecast system, it's a little more conservative with its thinking, but the European has been pretty consistent with its. So we're going to lean toward the euro here. Just kind of note that there could be a little bit of a back off here if the GFS is actually right. So we're going to keep an eye on that for sure. But as far as the next 3 days go, Tuesday does look to be the most concerning. And again, as far as timing and hazards go, I do think damaging winds is going to be your primary concern here. I'm not seeing anything right now that indicates tornadic activity. But again, we're still 3 days out from this. Allow things to change. A lot that can change between now and then. We'll have updates on that as we have more details and more data to go off of. Right now, we're still in that mid to long range term in the forecast. So we have to wait for some short term models to come in to have a better idea of what they're thinking. So just overall, pay attention next couple of days here if you live in these risks. Definitely keep an eye on Tuesday because that is a large risk there for the entire lower Michigan. That will likely shift, change, upgrade, downgrade everything's on the table here. But as far as the exact hazards go, I do think the damaging wind threat will be the primary concern. I will end this video on a couple things here. Number one, the European Future Radar. Now, this is take it with a grain of salt here, just because this is a really one model that we're looking at in terms of potential on radar for the future here. So looking at Monday night into Tuesday, we're going to run this through the time frame. We look to the west here. We see a little bit of a complex try to push across Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa. And that's going to continue to push eastward here towards us here in Michigan. And it does arrive in Michigan Tuesday morning, roughly around 8 in the morning. So we're going to keep an eye on that. If that's the case, we could have like another situation we're looking at like a squall line crossing Lake Michigan. Could be a damaging wind threat early on Tuesday morning. But again, that's the European model. And if we go ahead and move that through the day, that kind of breaks off closer to noon. And then another developing system off to the west here starts to take shape Tuesday night. We'll keep an eye on that and see how that pushes through. But that's where the model ends. So we're just going to have an idea here, potentially multiple rounds between Monday and Tuesday. If that European is right. So take it with a grain of salt. All we need to take away from this video is next 3 days have severe potential. Southeast Michigan for Sunday. We do have the UP as well as east northern lower Michigan, and then also Tuesday, basically the entire state minus the minus portions of the UP there in that slight risk. So damaging winds, large hail, primary concerns here for most all 3 days. We'll have updates on the page as well as here on YouTube. So just stay tuned. We'll keep you guys updated as best as possible. So you guys have a safe day. Smash the like button on your way out if you would appreciate. I would appreciate that if you would smash the like button on your way out. And I'll see you guys next time here at Michigan Storm Chasers.